Today's case is one that I've been following since it very first happened. On the surface, it appears to be yet another case of a mother who allowed her boyfriend to abuse her daughter, leading to a horrifying, tragic end. But this case is so much more than that. Today, we are going to discuss the devastating consequences of the bystander effect. So many people in Octavia's life could have stepped in, but no one did. And when you hear about the numerous chances the adults in her life had to step in but didn't, you will be just as furious as I am about this case. But before we get into the case, I want to take a moment to discuss an issue that I've had to deal with so much lately, an issue that unfortunately so many other women like me face. And that is having to go to the doctor as a woman and feeling dismissed or like I have to advocate for my health. So often, we women will go to the doctor's office just to be told that it must be our menstrual cycle, our weight, or we must just be exaggerating. We have to prove to doctors that we need and deserve care. That is why I turn to today's sponsor, MIDI Health. MIDI Health is a virtual care clinic whose mission it is to truly understand women and their needs. It was created by women for women. The process is easy. All you need to do is book your virtual visit by taking a few minutes to set up your account, enter your insurance information, tell MIDI about your symptoms, and choose a time to meet your clinician. It's personalized care, not a one-size-fits-all approach. They understand that your hormones, lifestyle, and experiences are unique to you. Your clinician is trained in perimenopause, menopause, and weight management. You will tell them all about your symptoms, and they will come up with a treatment plan that is appropriate based on your history. If blood work or imaging is needed, or if you need an in-person assessment, they will send you to a trusted local facility that accepts your insurance and discuss the results with you through virtual follow-up visits. If weight loss is a concern, they can prescribe medication if needed and will help you through creating a healthier lifestyle to achieve your goals. There are no membership fees or hidden costs. It's just like any other healthcare provider. They will bill your insurance because they believe that healthcare should be accessible and affordable to everyone. So head to trymidi.com/RachelShannon and use my code SAVE15 to get $15 off your first prescription product with your booked visit. Schedule a virtual visit and join the more than 200,000 women who love and trust MIDI. Thank you again so much to MIDI Health for partnering with me on today's video. And with all of that being said, let's get into the details of today's case. Octavia Aquino was born in Fort Wayne, Indiana on Mother's Day, May 10th, 2020, to Brandon Aquino and Destiny Rhodes. Octavia was described as the sweetest, kindest, most full-of-life little girl you could ever meet. She was a spunky girl who always had a huge smile on her face. She loved going to the zoo and getting ice cream. She also loved coloring and drawing, and her favorite shows to watch were Paw Patrol, Jurassic Park, and the Powerpuff Girls, My Little Pony, and Cocomelon. Now, as much as I tried digging, I couldn't find that much information about Octavia's living situation or background around her family. Some sources say that she was living with her mother, Destiny. However, in later interviews, Octavia's paternal grandmother, Linda Alvarez, said that she would see Octavia almost every day at her home in Fort Wayne. The longest she had ever gone without seeing Octavia was when her father, Brandon, would take her down to Evansville, about a 5-hour drive south, to visit her mother. So I don't know if they shared custody or if she lived mostly with her father. We do know that Destiny had only been living in Evansville for a few months, and it was more of a temporary thing. So maybe Octavia was living with Destiny before then in Fort Wayne, but moved in with her father after Destiny moved. Maybe after she moved, Brandon and her switched off caring for Octavia every week or so. I don't for sure know what the living situation was, so if you know more about her living arrangements, please do let me know in the comments. With that being said, by June of 2024, Brandon drove 4-year-old little Octavia down to Evansville to stay with her mother, Destiny, for a few days. Now, Destiny lived in an apartment with a bunch of other people. The two individuals who actually rented the apartment, sisters Carly and Sydney, allowed Destiny to stay with them for a few months. Then there was another girl, Megan, who had also been staying with them for about a week at that time. Also living with them at the time was Destiny's boyfriend, who I will discuss in just a minute. Like I said, this was an arrangement that Octavia's father and grandmother were expecting to go well. She would be with her mother, who she loved. She had all these other women around her who I believe, at least most of them, they had met in the past and seemed like good people. But when Linda and Brandon found out what was really going on within that apartment and what happened to Octavia as a result, they were heartbroken. By 8:50 a.m. on the morning of June 14th, 2024, the Evansville Police Department received a call from one of the women living in that apartment who reported that she found her roommate's 4-year-old daughter unresponsive and not breathing. When officers arrived, they immediately made contact with Octavia, who was unconscious and barely breathing. They immediately began examining the little girl, who was already reportedly cold to the touch. Right away, first responders noticed that Octavia was covered in bruises. She had multiple, what they described as finger-shaped bruises to her left jawline and neck area, as well as red marks on the right side of her neck. There also appeared to be a human bite mark on her right forearm. Paramedics did everything in their power to stabilize her before they loaded her up in the ambulance, transporting her to the nearest hospital. Once she arrived, she was in critical condition and had very little brain activity. She was placed on life support while hospital staff did everything they absolutely could to try and save 4-year-old Octavia's life. In the meantime, as that was happening, other officers at the scene started questioning all individuals present to see what was going on. Destiny, Octavia's mother, was the first to be interviewed at the scene. She told them that when she left for work that morning at around 6:55 a.m., she saw Octavia asleep by herself on the mattress they shared in the living room. She explained that Octavia had been dealing with a runny nose the past few days, but other than that, she was in good health. After speaking with Destiny, officers then spoke with the other women who lived in the apartment, who gave them some very disturbing information. They first spoke to Sydney, who said that she had been upstairs and asleep when her sister Carly woke her up in a panic. She frantically told her that Octavia wasn't breathing. They then woke up Megan, who had been sleeping in Carly's bedroom at the time, before all running downstairs and into the living room. There, they saw little Octavia lying on the mattress in the living room, while Destiny's boyfriend, who they knew as Alex, was sitting on the bed beside her. Sydney told the officer that Alex lived with them as well. He had moved in around the same time that Destiny did back in April. Immediately, Sydney mentioning Alex raised alarms to officers because at no point during their conversation did Destiny mention having a boyfriend. She mentioned all of the other roommates she had, so why did she leave out Alex? That seemed to be intentional. Either way, after finding Octavia, Sydney described Alex as eerily calm, given that Octavia was very clearly in bad condition. But according to Sydney, Alex acting nonchalant and uncaring isn't all that new to him. She explained that in the days prior, she did notice some bruising on Octavia's body. She went on to say that on June 13th, the day before, she and Destiny went to work at around 11 a.m., leaving Octavia downstairs with Alex while Carly and Megan were upstairs sleeping. Before leaving, she noticed a small scratch on Octavia's left cheek, but she wasn't all that concerned about the scratch, saying that she got it when their friend's dog jumped on her while visiting their home the prior day. Sydney left work and came home by around 2 p.m., while Destiny had to stay until 4. When she got home, she said that Alex had asked her to look at Octavia because she had woken up crying, saying that the cat scratched her neck. Sydney noticed some red marks on her neck, but she grew even more concerned when she saw bruises on her face and a bite mark on her arm. She pointed these injuries out to Alex, who said that he hadn't noticed those other bruises, but the cat must have caused those too. But Sydney knew that at least the bite mark was not caused by a cat. It was the exact shape of a human mouth, and it was too big for Octavia to have done it herself. She asked Octavia what happened to her, and she just kept saying that the cat did it. By that point, Megan had woken up, so when she came downstairs, they decided to take Octavia to her mother's work, which was their local McDonald's. They showed Destiny Octavia's injuries, which made Destiny start crying and gave Octavia a hug. When Destiny asked her what happened, she finally admitted that Alex had bitten her. By the time they returned back to the apartment, they woke up Carly and gathered everyone to sit Alex down and make him admit to what happened. Of course, Alex initially denied biting Octavia, but Destiny pressed him further, saying that she knew it wasn't caused by the cat. They then told him that there was a hidden camera in the living room and they were going to check it to confirm his story. After that, he finally admitted that he did bite her. He explained that Octavia bit him first, so she bit him back to show her what it was like. Destiny told him to never bite her again, saying that if he did, the camera in the living room would catch him. Sydney went on to say that after discovering those injuries on the 13th, for the remainder of the day, she did notice some odd behaviors from Octavia. She spent some time with her on the back porch and noticed that there were multiple spells where she would just stare ahead blankly and not respond to anything or anyone. She thought that maybe they were some sort of absence seizures. She also mentioned that Octavia threw up that day. When she went to work and arrived back home, she saw that there was a towel on the mattress in the living room. Alex told her that he gave Octavia some Kool-Aid, but she threw it up on the mattress. Sydney explained to the officer that she had never actually seen Alex abusing Octavia, but said that Destiny told her that Alex hit her and left a mark before they moved into the apartment with them. So, based on this, it seems that Destiny knew that Alex had abused Octavia in the past, so badly that it left a mark on her. Yet she still chose to allow Alex to live with them in that apartment. Keep that in mind as we go throughout the remainder of this case. After speaking with Sydney, officers then interviewed her sister Carly. She explained that she worked overnights, so she arrived home at around 8:30 a.m. on the morning of June 14th. When she walked into the apartment, she immediately noticed Octavia lying on the mattress. Her eyes were wide open and her lips were blue. According to Carly, she looked obviously dead. In a panic, she ran upstairs and woke up Sydney and Megan before calling 911. As she called 911, she told Sydney to go to the McDonald's to get Destiny and bring her home. She also explained how Alex lived with them as well and would often watch Octavia while Destiny was at work. She too said that Alex was sitting on the mattress next to Octavia when she got home. When she asked Alex what was wrong with Octavia, he appeared calm and collected. He said simply, "Sometimes she sleeps with her eyes open." Absolutely ridiculous. She went on to say that the day before, June 13th, after the whole incident with Alex admitting to biting her, they took Octavia to the park. There, she seemed spaced out and not like herself. When the adults spoke to her, she barely responded. She was also barely playing at the park, which was very unlike her because she was normally a very energetic and playful little girl when they took her to the park. When they returned back to the apartment, these odd behaviors just continued. That night, after returning back from the park, Megan and Destiny left the apartment to go get dinner at Sonic, and they were gone for about 2 hours for some reason, getting dinner at a fast food restaurant. My thought is that maybe they were chilling in the car and smoking or something like that, but regardless, while they were gone, Alex stayed home with Octavia. When they left initially, Carly was sleeping, but she eventually left for work that night before Megan and Destiny returned home. So there was a period of time in which Alex was home alone with her for at least about an hour. When Megan and Destiny returned, they saw that Octavia was playing on her tablet in bed. Octavia is believed to have gone to sleep at around 1 a.m., now going into June 14th. Now, Megan also knew about the bruises and the bite mark, as well as Alex admitting that he bit her. She said that she had seen Alex become angry before, but never witnessed him abusing or being aggressive towards Octavia. Again, not that that matters because she knows that he literally bit her. With that being said, after hearing from the others within that home, officers continued speaking with Destiny, who at that point, they already told her that they knew she had a boyfriend living in the home. They also told her what their roommate said about how they all knew that Alex was causing injuries to Octavia, and they asked her why she allowed Octavia to continue staying with Alex, especially on the night of June 13th when there was no reason for her to be left with him. If they just went to get dinner, she could have taken Octavia with her. She could have asked Megan to go pick it up for them. If they really wanted to smoke weed, they could have gone out on the back porch after going and grabbing the food from Sonic. But instead, she chose to leave Octavia alone with him after he was known to have abused her earlier that day. Destiny went on to explain that she thought Alex was remorseful. He apparently cried in the bathroom for 2 hours after they found out about him biting her, which, side note, he didn't cry after biting her. He cried after they found out about him biting her. So just take that with what it is. She also said that Alex now believed that there was a camera in the living room, so she felt that this would deter any further abuse. When asked why she didn't call the police to report the abuse to begin with, she said that she wanted to, but was worried about what would happen to Alex. Eventually, though, she did admit that she just didn't want to get herself or Alex in trouble. She did say, though, that after the biting incident, she told Alex that he needed to leave the apartment, but apparently he's very manipulative and she loved him, so he ended up convincing her to let him stay. Again, this very much contradicts what she just said about how she didn't think Alex would do anything again because there was a hidden camera, but yet she also tried to get him to leave. Pick one. To me, it sounds more so like Destiny just didn't care. She knew about the abuse prior to this and that day, and she just didn't give it a second thought. She only cared about herself and her relationship with Alex, despite how poorly he treated her daughter. By this point, after speaking with Destiny, Sydney, Carly, and Megan, none of the officers found any sign of Alex or any male at the scene for that matter. They asked Carly and Sydney where he was, and both of them said that they didn't actually know, but they said it's possible that he's still hiding somewhere inside, so maybe they should go look for him. At that point, officers went into the unit to search. Officers made their presence known, asking anyone inside to make themselves known, though they got no response. They made their way through the rooms until they reached the bathroom. They started forcing the door open until finally a male came out of the room with his hands up. He then confirmed to officers that he was Alex before they placed him into handcuffs. At that time, Alex was transported to the police station where he was taken in for questioning. There, he told officers that his name is Alex Gonzalez, but he went by his last name, Gonzalez. He gave them his date of birth, but officers weren't able to confirm his identity. By this point, other officers had also looked into Destiny's background, and they found some concerning yet revealing information. Turns out, about 6 months prior to this, a 15-year-old teenager named Christian Gonzalez was reported missing from Fort Wayne, Indiana, by his grandmother, Maria. About a month later, he was located in Evansville with Destiny. This 15-year-old had been dating then 23-year-old Destiny. You heard that right. An adult in her early 20s was dating a child. Now, it hasn't been confirmed for sure that she was dating him. I don't think she ever stated that, but officers do believe that that is what was going on, which even shows to me even more that Destiny knew that this was wrong. She never admitted that she was dating him, but she was. So the fact that she wouldn't admit to it, that just tells me that she knew that it was wrong. Either way, when they found Christian, he was taken to the Hillcrest Youth Services for emergency residency, but he quickly escaped. Officers set out to search for him, and once again, he was located at Destiny's place. He was detained once again, this time being placed into the youth care center in Evansville before he was transported back to Fort Wayne and back into the custody of his grandmother. At that time, Destiny was also arrested for contributing to the delinquency of a minor. But just 2 months after returning home, once again, he left, and his grandmother reported him missing by April 11th, 2024, around the same time in which Destiny's roommates say that she and Alex moved in with them. So back at the station, officers are sitting there with a young man who identifies himself as Alex. They asked him multiple times if that was his real name, and he said yes. So then they straight up asked him, so you aren't Christian Gonzalez, the same Christian Gonzalez that is reported missing out of Fort Wayne and was already caught once with Destiny Rhodes? And still, he said that he wasn't. So this must have just been some other random teenager that was with her. In response, officers told him that they were going to go back and check the body cam footage from the original incident when they found that he was with Destiny in February to see if, this person was really him. So at that time, he lowered his head and quietly admitted that he was Christian Gonzalez, the now 16-year-old teenager who ran away from home to live with his 23-year-old girlfriend. As all of that was happening, for the 2 days that followed Octavia's admittance into the hospital, she remained on life support. But like I said, she had been in very critical condition and there was very little brain activity. So just 2 days later, by June 16th, 2024, on Father's Day of all days, 4-year-old little Octavia died from her injuries. Her grandmother, Linda, and her father, Brandon, were absolutely devastated and heartbroken. They just wanted justice for their little girl. They never could have guessed that dropping her off with her own mother would result in such horrific consequences. They did know that Christian had abused Octavia in the past, but they had no idea that he was staying with her in that apartment. She lied to them, and he hid from them. If they ever knew that he was there, they never would have allowed Octavia to stay with them. They knew that Christian had to be the one responsible for their little girl's death. After being pronounced dead at the hospital, Octavia was transported to the medical examiner's office for an autopsy. There, it was discovered that the 4-year-old little girl died as a result of blunt force trauma to her head and neck. Based on the reporting from the roommates of Octavia's strange behaviors, her spacing out and throwing up, it appears that at some point on June 13th, Christian gave Octavia a severe head injury and strangled her. We don't know for sure if it was this injury that caused her death or if there was another beating while he was alone with her while Destiny was at Sonic. Either way, 16-year-old Christian beat and strangled this little girl to death. At that time, then 16-year-old Christian Gonzalez was arrested and charged with Octavia's murder, while 23-year-old Destiny Rhodes was arrested and charged with neglect of a dependent resulting in death, as well as another charge of contributing to the delinquency of a child. After these charges were filed, Christian initially appeared in juvenile court, but he was then transported to adult court, where he was now facing his charges as an adult. He also filed a motion for a speedy trial, basically forcing prosecutors to try the case within 6 months. This was most likely done with the hopes that they wouldn't have enough time to gather the proper evidence to build their case, but this definitely backfired. Christian's trial for murder started in January of this year. Now, with this case in general, the reporting is very spotty. It took a lot of digging to even find what I've told you up to this point, and let me tell you, there is no information about the trial. I would literally click on an article saying, prosecution opening statements in Christian Gonzalez's trial, and then I would click on it, and that's the article that the opening statements have started. It's one sentence and then the article is done. I'm not kidding you. Most of the articles I found about this case were a couple sentences and were literally just that the case is going to trial or that, Christian has been charged, things like that. So if that tells you anything about how difficult it was to find information about this case, that's basically what I had to go through with all of these different articles. But basically with that, all we know is that the trial lasted for 4 days. We obviously have the testimony from the roommates, the bruises and the bite mark they found on her, the fact that he admitted to abusing her, but we actually don't know what the defense was. In my head, the argument was most likely made that anyone in that apartment could have been responsible, especially Destiny. There isn't any actual camera footage that shows him hurting her, only the words of witnesses. And if one of them are responsible for her death, then they have a hell of a motive to lie and pin this on Christian. But in my opinion, I think that Christian was a very troubled teen. According to Facebook posts by Linda, Octavia's grandmother, Christian has a history of violence and getting into trouble at school ever since he was a kid. He was known to abuse Octavia in the past and even admitted to it. I think that he most likely strangled her when he bit her. I want to note that when Octavia told her mom about Christian biting her, she also said that he covered her mouth, so it's possible that he was strangling her at that time that he bit her, and that's just what she took it as. So either that, or he was mad about everyone confronting him about the bite, that the second he was alone with her, he beat her to death then. But we do know that she was showing those strange behaviors all day after the biting incident, so she likely was suffering from head trauma. So again, her death was either from that or a second beating that finished her off. Either way, I think that once she finally went to sleep, having sustained an untreated traumatic brain injury, I think she slipped into a coma, never waking up. I think that Destiny, again, cared so little for her that she didn't even check on Octavia before leaving for work, so she likely didn't notice. But I think that Christian did notice when he woke up and just didn't do anything about it, seeing as how he was sitting there next to her when she was found and tried saying that she just sleeps with her eyes open. I don't know what he was thinking in that moment, but he was trying to delay the inevitable. But no matter what the arguments in the trial were, we do know that the trial lasted for 4 days. And at the end, the jury found 16-year-old Christian Gonzalez guilty of murder. For this, he was given a sentence of 60 years behind bars before he will be eligible for parole. So he will be in his late 70s by the time he's released. Hopefully that's enough time, but honestly, I hope that he never is released. As of right now, Destiny is still awaiting her trial for charges of child endangerment. As soon as I find out more about that aspect of this case, I will update the description down below. So as of right now, that is where the case sits. Obviously, as we heard all throughout the video, Octavia was failed by everyone in that apartment. She was first failed by her mother, who failed to protect her. But she was also failed by the 3 other women who lived there, all who knew that she had been hurt by Christian, or Alex as they knew him. It's one thing to not want to report child abuse if you see maybe some iffy bruises but have never seen the parent be aggressive or violent. But the fact that Christian admitted to harming her, that should have immediately caused someone to report it, but nobody did. At least Destiny admitted that she just didn't want to get in trouble. She didn't want law enforcement to know she was harboring a 16-year-old again. But what are the other women's excuses? Were they nervous to report it? Were they not sure if it was really abuse? Like, come on. If one person in that home had stepped up and done absolutely anything, I likely wouldn't be reporting on this case to you right now. And I'm not the only person who thinks that. Octavia's grandmother, Linda Alvarez, has been very outspoken about her outrage at those roommates not doing anything. She started a Change.org petition hoping to enact Octavia's Law. Octavia's Law would make it so that anyone who witnesses any sort of child abuse or neglect is legally obligated to report it to police or CPS. To be silent in the face of witnessing abuse is almost as bad as the abuse itself. These young children cannot speak up for themselves. They are trapped in their circumstances. They cannot do anything themselves to stop the abuse. It is up to us as the adults to help them, step in when needed. I absolutely love that Linda is using her voice to enact change, and I hope that through promoting the petition, we can help make that change happen. If you agree that we adults should be required to act in these situations, please consider signing the petition. They're almost to 2,000 signatures, so please, let's help get those numbers up so we can be active true crime consumers and be the change that we want to see. I also do want to note that after Octavia's death, the family made the decision to donate her functioning organs, giving hope to others, giving her own life to help save another. The family actually got to meet one of the recipients of her organs in July, a man from New York who was saved by Octavia's kidneys. The wife of this man reached out to Linda, thanking her granddaughter for saving her husband. They have a special needs little boy of their own who needs his father, and Octavia is the reason that this little boy will have his father around. So if anything positive comes out of this horrific case, it's that. I just love when we can see things like this happening in such horrific cases. These stories are so difficult to hear, but knowing that a little boy will now have his father, at least we can end this one on a positive note. But with that, that is all of the information I have on today's case, and now I want to know what you all think. What do you think of how Octavia died? What do you think of Destiny continuing to leave her alone with him? And what do you think of those roommates? Should they also be criminally charged for their inaction? Let's discuss this and any other thoughts you have in the comments below. If you like this video, please make sure to go ahead and leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I put out new true crime and mystery videos every single week. Don't forget to turn that notification bell on so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, and TikTok. All will be linked down below. Also, make sure to head to trymidi.com/RachelShannon and use my code SAVE15 to get $15 off your first prescription product with your booked visit. And if you have any case suggestions, please make sure to fill out the Google form, which is also listed down below. With that, I hope you guys have an amazing week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.